You're watching KSG News, where you get all the latest updates from across the globe to help you with your exam preparations. We begin with GS Paper 3. This is in connection with Indian economy. Internationalization of the rupee is inevitable but will complicate the formulation of the monetary policy. This is according to the Reserve Bank of India's report on currency and finance. Internationalization means the currency can be freely transacted by both resident and non-residents and be used as a reserve currency for global trades. Now, what does this exactly mean? It can lower transaction costs of cross-border trade and investment operations by mitigating exchange rate risk, but makes the simultaneous pursuit of exchange rate stability and a domestically oriented monetary policy more challenging, unless supported by large and deep domestic financial markets that could effectively absorb external shocks. Internationalization can potentially limit the ability of the central bank to control domestic money supply and influence interest rates as per domestic macroeconomic conditions. The inflation rate, which is higher than the world average, undermines the use of the currency as an international medium of exchange and a store of value, and can restrict the role of such an economy in global value chains. On the contrary, stable prices build confidence of international investors in the domestic currency. In this context, the primary focus of flexible inflation targeting framework on price stability augurs well for further liberalization of the capital account and internationalization of the rupee. The report suggested that the RBI carefully monitors the exchange rates as a key information variable for monetary policy formulation, as inflation can still alter by 10 to 13% of the change in exchange rate. The report also mentioned the need to use the Standing Deposit Facility, or the SDF, which absorbs liquidity without offering collaterals, as a sterilization tool. Shifting focus to updates related to the GS Paper 3, this is in connection with solar energy. Rooftop solar power generation by consumers of BSES power distribution companies in the national capital has surpassed 100 megawatt peak, resulting in savings of over 68 crore rupees annually. BSES, Discoms, BRPL and BYPL have energized over 3,100 rooftop solar net metering connections, including the highest 1,805 residential, 665 educational institutions and 554 commercial establishments. The BSES Rajdhani Power Limited, or the BRPL, and the BSES Yamuna Power Limited, or the BYPL, have been aggressively promoting rooftop solar in South, West, East and Central Delhi. The response to rooftop solar net metering has been incredibly encouraging in the BSES area. Consumers across categories have warmed up to rooftop solar net metering in a big way. Net metering is a billing mechanism that credits solar energy system owners for the electricity they add to the grid. For example, if a residential customer has a PV system on their roof, it may generate more electricity than the home uses during daylight hours. If the home is net metered, the electricity meter will run backwards to provide a credit against what electricity is consumed at night or other periods when the home's electricity use exceeds the system's output. Customers are only billed for their net energy use. On average, only 20 to 40% of a solar energy system's output ever goes into the grid, and this exported solar electricity serves nearby customers' loads. In some more updates related to the GS Paper 3, two astronomers recently went looking for a monster black hole. They sifted reams of data from the most powerful telescopes on and above Earth for any sign of an invisible object hundreds of times the mass of the Sun in a distant cloud of stars known as NGC 6397. Instead, they found a nest of baby monsters, as many as 5 dozen, dark engines of annihilation packed into a space barely larger than our own solar system, buzzing back and forth and throwing their considerable weight around in the dense core of the star cluster. Eduardo Vitral and Gary A. Mammon of the Paris Institute of Astrophysics, using the data from the Hubble Space Telescope and the European Space Agency's Gaia spacecraft, reported their results on the 11th of February in the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics. The surprise result has given astronomers a unique and detailed detailed look at the dynamics prevailing inside one of the most crowded places in the nearby cosmos. Their work suggests that such clusters are a likely source of the gravitational waves that have been detected by antennas like LIGO and Virgo in recent years and that originate from colliding black holes. But the discovery raises questions about the presumed and confusing process by which small black holes, only a few times as massive as the Sun, can merge and grow into behemoths that dominate the centers of galaxies and that power distant quasars. Black holes, as predicted by Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity, are objects with gravity so strong that not even light can escape them. Their existence was once doubted, but astronomers now agree that the universe is speckled with them, like potholes in space-time. Most are dead stars that collapsed on themselves after burning up all their thermonuclear fuel with masses only a few times that of the Sun. Going into some background details, the cluster NGC 6397 is one of about 150 spherical clouds of ancient stars that orbit the Milky Way and perhaps predate its formation. It is 13 billion years old and contains about 250,000 stars, all of them old, small and dim. The brighter, heavier stars in the cluster long ago burned through their lives and met their fate as black holes or other products of stellar decay. So the cluster is a likely candidate to harbor an intermediate mass black hole. Indeed, earlier studies had suggested that a black hole of about 600 solar masses anchored the center of NGC 6397. In some more updates related to the GS Paper 3, this piece of news is in connection with the Indian economy. Indian Ratings and Research has upgraded its financial year 2021 credit growth estimates to 6.9% from 1.8% given the improved economic environment in the second half of the financial year 2021 and the government's focus on higher spending, especially on infrastructure. Amid the pandemic, the credit offtake in the banking system remained muted, which led to lesser issuances of certificates of deposits. The CD or the certificate of deposits issuances for January 2021 increased for public sector banks but remained muted for private banks. Concurrently, the CD yield across maturities was confined to a narrow range amid subdued issuances. Now, what does this really mean and what is the significance of this? The issuances of commercial paper or CP by corporates fell due to a lesser requirement amid fewer rollovers. The CP yields, however, saw an upward revision due to the Reserve Bank of India's announcement of the restoration of liquidity management operations. Besides, demand from fund houses for corporate bonds and short-term funds increased by 5,200 crore rupees and 1,000 crore rupees respectively. On the other hand, CP issuances by non-banking financial companies and housing finance companies remained encouraging both in terms of total amount and volumes. Indian Ratings and Research or the INRA said that the normalization of economic activities and a conducive rate environment remains supportive for this segment. Net foreign portfolio investments in equity declined in January 2021, while net investments in debt segment totaled negative 2,518 crore rupees. India, along with other emerging countries like Taiwan and South Korea, saw a large sell-off by foreign portfolio investors during the month. That's it in this edition of KSG News. Stay tuned for more such videos.